Hello and welcome to Wisconsin in Focus, powered by the Center Square. I'm Dan McCaleb, executive editor of the Center Square Newswire service. Joining me today is the Center Square's Wisconsin correspondent, Ben Yount. How are you today, Ben?
It is a beautiful August day, and I say that because my air conditioner went out over the weekend, and now it's fixed. And let me tell you how much I love the modern economy that brings me 68 degrees inside my home when it's 86 degrees outside.
86, that's a nice day, Ben. I might have mentioned this last week, but I am going to be driving my daughter back to school. She goes to school in Texas, where it is now 100 degrees. Her apartment is on the third floor. No elevators. We'll be carrying boxes after boxes up in 100-degree heat, 3 floors.
If you go down to the U-Haul store, they have on the front seat of every single U-Haul truck now a number that you can call, and you can hire people to do that. I've got more time. I've got more money than I do time left on my ticker hiking boxes upstairs. That's one of these ones that it may be worth the service charge.
Yeah, not looking forward to it. Unfortunately, we have to do it twice a year, every year for the next couple of years. So we'll probably not be doing that. Anyway, Ben, we're recording this on Wednesday, August 16th, ahead of the first primary debate of the presidential election season taking place in Milwaukee a week from today. That's when Republican candidates try to start making their case to voters. President Joe Biden visited the Brew City Tuesday to tout the Inflation Reduction Act, which critics have said is misnamed, and what he's now calling Bidenomics. What did Biden have to say, Ben, and what was the Republican reaction?
We were initially given mixed previews, right? That early on in the week, last week even, we were writing, Joe Biden will come to Milwaukee to tout Bidenomics. And then early Monday, it was like, he's not really going to talk about Bidenomics. He's going to talk about the Inflation Reduction Act, and he's going to talk about green energy. And the president did tour a manufacturer that makes the charging stations for electric vehicles. And you know how this works. You sort of think about, all right, what's the story going to be? And then you because you want to be organized and be ahead of the game and be listening for things. It took the president all of 15 minutes to just throw out the idea that he wasn't going to talk about Bidenomics, because that is all that he talked about. And we got on Tuesday 2 very different visions of what this president has done for the economy nationally, for the economy here in Wisconsin, and for average workers in this state. The president was up first, and the president's view of what he has done comes with all manners of job numbers.
According to Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs, my plan is leading to a boom. They call a boom in manufacturing. And manufacturing investment, as you're seeing right here in this factory. Over 13.4 million new jobs, 150,000 new jobs in the state of Wisconsin. Nearly 800,000 new manufacturing jobs nationwide. More than 20,000 manufacturing jobs in Wisconsin, from Green Bay to Verona to Pleasant Prairie. We've added more jobs in 2 years than any president has in American history in a 4-year term. More in 2 than any's done in 4. And unemployment has been below 4% for the longest stretch in over 50 years. 50 years. Wisconsin's unemployment rate is just 2.5%. That's lower than it was every single month. The prior administration. We've recovered all the jobs lost during the pandemic. We've added millions more.
That's the president's vision of Bidenomics. The Republican chairman here in Wisconsin, Brian Schimming, offered a different view of Bidenomics.
It's costing more to fill up your gas tank, $1.40 a gallon more than when Joe Biden took office. You're receiving paychecks that are now literally worth less because of the cost of living being up. We're spending 30% more on a cup of coffee. I mean, everything in this administration has gone up. There's going to be no amount of political spending that the president can do in Milwaukee today that is going to fool Wisconsinites. And we see that all the time. My point is this. I'd say Republicans are lucky. there's a sign of hope for Wisconsin taxpayers in 24. Wisconsin households know they cannot afford 4 more years of this president.
Now, this is one of these situations, Dan, where two things are true at the same time. Yes, people have gone back to work in Wisconsin. Yes, the unemployment rate is 2.5%. Yes, gas is almost $4 a gallon in some places. Yes, the median price for a home in the Milwaukee suburbs is at a record over $400,000. It all depends on how you look at this. But one thing about the unemployment rate, unemployment in Wisconsin has traditionally been very low. It was 2.6% or so under Governor Scott Walker, spiked during the coronavirus. And there still continues to be the debate of, did President Biden create these 100-something thousand jobs, or did they simply put people back to work who were out of work during the coronavirus?
Interesting contrast between the two sides, Ben. Of course, we hear that nationally pretty regularly. Looking ahead, with Republicans taking center stage in Milwaukee next week, at this point, we're not even sure, for example, if Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump, the front runner in the current, as of now, in the GOP primary, is going to be on the stage. Not sure about some of the others either. But is the comments we just heard from the Wisconsin GOP chairman, you think we're going to hear some of that on the debate stage next week?
I can promise you that we will hear that, because that is the message. And, this is one of the things that, when you give red meat to the meat eaters, which is the phrase that I've used for an awful long time, and you have Republicans, conservatives in Wisconsin who are bothered by this president, and they too see the impact of rising gas prices, grocery prices. The average price for a new car, had to look this up for a different story, $48,000
Wow.
total. And that's just to get you into an entry-level car. You want to go buy a pickup truck, you're looking at $65,000 or more. There's a lot of economic frustration.
And what about those electric vehicles that President Biden is pushing?
Yeah, you're lucky if you can find one because of supply chain, and they start in the mid 50s, lower $60,000. The Ford F-150 Lightning, the greatest tailgate vehicle ever made. Last I checked, it was on an 8-month backlog and cost about $62,000. And so if you're living here in the Wow counties and you're making $200,000, it's an inconvenience. Maybe you're not going on a vacation. If you're living in Milwaukee or you're living out in outstate Wisconsin and you're making the median income of $55,000, paying $4 a gallon for gas, paying 30% more for a cup of coffee, not being able to upgrade your car or your home, that is a whole different set of economic circumstances. And yeah, it remains to be seen if the president, the former president, will be there. He, as I'm sure we've reported over at the Center Square, ran into some legal troubles.
A little bit, just a little bit. Only 4 separate investigations, 4 separate indictments. Well, Ben, appreciate your insight into the president's visit. Can't wait for the first GOP primary debate next week in Milwaukee. Listeners can keep up with that story and other Wisconsin-related stories at thecentersquare.com. But we are out of time. For Ben Yount, I'm Dan McCaleb. Please subscribe. Thank you for listening.